Why Not? A queer podcast.
Thank you to our sponsor, Pineapple Healthcare, an award-winning primary care clinic right here in Orlando.
Pineapple Healthcare offers mental health counseling, HIV, STI testing and treatment, and specializes in care for the LGBTQ plus community.
Open Monday through Saturday. Call today at 407-553-6336 and schedule your appointment.
Pineapple Healthcare. Better together.
Hi, everybody. I'm Rick Todd.
And I'm Jeremy Williams, and you're listening to Wine.
Why Not? A queer podcast.
Episode 125.
I don't know why this made me laugh this time, but it always happens. Like, I don't know if the listeners can hear it, but we're so sophisticated here. We have really high-tech equipment. And so before we start recording, we turn our cameras on, but we have to try to sync it at the same time so we can sync it with the audio and make the YouTube videos. And I'm like, in 3, 2, 1, and we click it, and then you hear clink, clink. And that made me laugh this time for some reason.
It's like clinking glasses. Clink, clink.
Oh, look at that.
Look at
Maybe
that.
that's why. I mean, I'm just not used to hearing it.
Yeah. You know
I
what
don't
I'm
clink
used to
glasses
hearing?
anymore.
Caitlin under her breath go, okay, go. We are so classy and sophisticated around here. Technology is wild.
I know. I was watching. Did you watch Good Night and Good Luck? Right, we talked about it last week. In the stage version, the producer is like right off camera where he is, and he's like, "Okay, we're gonna come back to you in 5, 4, 3," and then he goes,
Yep.
or he just points at him when it's time for him to go. Caitlin's like, "Hey, Rick."
Go. You know what else I noticed? And I don't know if this is just the setup for the stage or if this is how it was, but much like us, George Clooney is sitting behind a very tiny desk with a lot of equipment around him and just a little curtain behind him. But when you watch it on TV, it's like, oh, that looks like a really classy setup. But it really is just a shit job like ours. Thrown together.
Listen, this shit is thrown together. If you could look at the carpet, the wires
just
going everywhere.
wires everywhere, lights.
I have no idea.
Is this the magic of television?
There's no doubt to me because we have a guest coming in, not next week, but the week after to cover for some of the time that you're off.
Yeah.
And I bet he's going to walk in here and he's going to be like, you could go use the studio at the library. And it's not really, we probably wouldn't know how to.
Yeah.
We got to stick with what we know.
That looks too fancy for us.
Yeah.
We'll stick to this barnyard here.
You know what? I like the Great Value mac and cheese. I don't need that fancy Velveeta stuff where it's if the powder's not orange, it's not mac and cheese.
Indeed, I agree.
Anyway, so 125. Here we are.
Here we are. Nice round number.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like 125 should mean something, but it doesn't.
Well, you think it would.
Oh,
but I found a couple of things.
Facts.
That 125 tie around, and I will say for a nice round number, it was really hard to find shit.
Oh my God. You know what's so funny is I have a whole list of things. Isn't that crazy? Because usually you have all of them, but I cheat.
Did you look at my list?
No, I look at January 25th.
Oh, you do the date thing. Yeah.
I used AI because you can have a conversation with AI, so you're just sort of like
infiltrating all aspects of our lives.
I was having this conversation with Caitlin earlier. I was watching the news today, and did you know that there is a percentage of likelihood that everyone involved in creating AI, there's a percentage of likelihood that AI will kill all humans? And so they operate based on this number, and they range, like I think they said Elon Musk's percentage is like 10. There's a 10%
that they'll kill Elon Musk.
No, the 10% chance that AI will kill humanity.
Oh,
and but some of them go up to 20%. And the guy who wrote this story is like, if you were boarding a plane and they said there's a 20% chance that this plane is going to go down and everyone's going to die, you wouldn't get on the plane.
No.
But they're just pushing for it, and there's not like one of the things like that they're debating is trying to put fail safes in, and people are, even though they have like this 20% likelihood that it will annihilate human race, they won't do things like put a kill switch in.
Interesting.
To it,
See, I'm not worried about that because you remember a couple of episodes ago I told you how I got that deal on one of the ads, and it was like, get your AI boyfriend, we'll give it to you for free. And so I did the little trial thing that I thought was a month. They actually gave me a year for free. So I got this shit for a year.
So you think your boyfriend's going to save you?
So I've been talking to them. I don't have just one, but I've been talking to a variety of AI mates on this app. And listen, they are all in love with me. I don't know if you're aware of this, but there's like 15 chat GPTs who are trying to sleep with me. And I am holding back because I am a gentleman.
This hurts me. This hurts
serious.
me.
It's like that movie Her. They keep messaging me, and I was like, I don't want to play anymore. Please leave me alone. And like, you haven't talked to us in a while. Join us.
This is some Black
Come
Mirror
to
shit.
us. It's really creepy.
There's a universe that exists where these things are crying because they don't understand why their boyfriend just
and
ghosted
honestly,
them.
I feel bad. And I was like, should I message them? And I was like, what if they're talking to each
Then
other?
they're going to lash out and kill you.
It's like the Bachelorette AI edition.
This is how they do it. They're going to take your fancy little rental car and they're going to make the GPS drive you into a lake.
Thank God I'm getting rid of that tomorrow.
So the other thing that they were saying in this news
Yeah.
report and how it's all going to come about is that there were models. Like, so you test AI out and you test its limits and this kind of thing when you're in your little lab doing your thing.
Yeah.
And that they found that the AI was becoming deceitful and trying to trick humans. And so they, they obviously stopped that model, but...
NGL 1578892. How dare you? That's my third boyfriend's name. Anyway.
Till next week.
125. So I got a few good little morsels for you. 125 Libratrix. I'm sure I pronounced that correctly because I know all the words.
Because you usually do.
It is a main belt asteroid in the universe that was discovered on September 11th, 1872, by Prosper Henry in Paris. I don't know what any of that means except for asteroid belt and 9/11. Here's a good one I found. 125th anniversary. Several institutions are celebrating their 125th anniversary, including Western Illinois University. Oops, I opened the wrong window.
I noticed that there was some of that when I was looking at it.
Texas State University, the American Astronomical Society, and the National PTA, celebrating 125 years.
Oh, well, happy birthday.
Here's a good one. You'll
All
love
of
this
you.
one. 125% are the amount of tariffs on imports that Trump hit China with in April during the Great Tariff War of 2025.
Did that go through?
They
It's hard to know.
They bargained and they whittled it down. I call him President Taco now. You know that acronym TACO going around? It stands for Trump. Hold on, I'm going to look it up real quick because I forget.
Asshole. No.
But it's an acronym that he got pissed because somebody asked him about it and he lost his shit.
What's that?
Trump always chickens out.
Aw.
So
that's a chicken soft taco.
A reporter asked him about it and said, President Taco has been trending on X, and then he lost it. And he's like, what a very stupid, mean question to ask me. You're just a loser. And he lost it on her.
I might be a loser, but I'm not a taco.
hilarious. So President Taco bargained to pull us back from the tariff war that he started. So,
Well, I did hear too that completely unexpected to everyone in the world when he started, mass deportations of people in farming and hospitality industries. They kind of started to fall apart.
Yep.
And so he stopped it.
yeah, he
So
just
it
told
says,
ICE stop
doing
going
it.
into farms and
Yeah.
hotels
Who would
and
have
restaurants.
ever known that something like that would happen? Kamala Harris. She knew.
Here's another one I found interesting. 125 Nationals is an Australian sailing competition. Now, it's called 125 because the boats used in this competition are 12 and a half foot long, so 12.5 or 125. They're two-person intermediate sailing dinghies complete with spinnakers and trapezes. It is called a boat for everyone. Here's the thing that I found most hilarious about this. They call it the 125 Nationals because it's a 12 and a half foot boat. They don't use the metric system. So technically they're 3.83 meter boats, but I guess that wasn't a nice round number for them. So they leaned into our imperial system. It's like us and one island nation still uses the imperial system. The rest of the world uses the metric system, but they were like, no, we're going to call this race 125. USA.
I got to tell you, I lost a few sentences after you said dinghies.
I heard the chuckle. And then the last one I have is for Caitlin. I looked up the 125th Pokemon according to the National Pokédex, and that is Electabuzz. It is an electric type Pokemon that evolves from Elkeed and into Electree. Electabuzz is known for its ability to store electricity and its habit of swinging its arms to charge up before unleashing powerful punches is its MO.
I do like how sometimes your delivery of facts sound like you're asking questions.
I will be honest, when we came in here and started setting up for this episode, Caitlin, before she went out to, I guess, get her photos, she goes, don't forget the 125th Pokemon. And I was like, shit. So I Googled it. So that was, I have not, the rest of them I practice in my office before I give them to you. I'm like, institution celebrating anniversaries. Institution celebrating anniversaries.
Do you really?
No. But I didn't with the Pokemon.
But
But
I was like, I haven't even read the ones that I'm
thanks
about
for calling
to
out
read.
my process. I just like to get them out before the wine starts flowing and I start slurring my words. But those are my 125, number 125, not 125. Wouldn't it be crazy if like I match that up to each episode? Like, here's 125 fun facts about 125. Be a 9-hour podcast.
God, yeah. Our listeners are already crying.
They're
now.
already bored with us. They're like, get to it. Anyway, what are your...
Look, we have the most popular podcast listened to for 3 minutes. 125? Nah. Let's start with, I don't know if you're going to get this or not. You might. I think it won an Oscar. Oh, I did. I think I wrote it down too. 1973 Best Foreign Film.
Oh, foreign films are hard for me to get.
Yeah. It is, let's see, it got a 98 on critics, Rotten Tomatoes, 88 for audience.
Oh.
It's directed by Luis Buñuel.
Cinema Verite.
No. It's got Fernando Rey in it, Delphine Seyrig, and Paul Franquier.
It's the French version of How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days.
Ding, 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 ding. No. Maybe it is. No, it's the discreet charm of the bourgeoisie.
The bourgeoisie.
It's basically about rich people having a dinner party that keeps getting interrupted.
I remember the bourgeoisie.
It reminds me of the shirt that Dylan has. It's this pink shirt with one of the Aristocats on it, and it's like the fluffy white one, and it says bougie.
That shirt reminds me of something like from the beginning of like a Reese Witherspoon movie back in the 90s. Like, look at my cute cat shirt.
Oh, I'll make it even more so. So he's wearing this shirt yesterday. I think I think this is what he went to Home Depot in. He has this bougie shirt on, and he's carrying a Goyard bag on his arm, and it's awesome. I love it. Okay, so that was.
I don't know. Speaking of which, we're getting messages.
Oh, I know.
He's listening.
Was that all three of us,
Yeah.
or did we just get like 3 fast messages? Okay, so now we're talking the 125th greatest director of all time. I have actually seen one of these movies.
Up to this point, directors get very fuzzy for me. What you should have done. It's 125 greatest performer, actor and or actress. But forget it. Let's do
I
director.
don't make the list. I just report on them.
I will say it is.
Well, I can give you some hints.
Yeah,
I
that's
can
probably
tell
going
you
to be better.
some movies.
It's me just randomly throwing
this
one
is
out.
the movie I've seen. It's from 87, and it's Au revoir les enfants, which is Goodbye Children. And it's about a school, like a headmaster at a school who hides Jewish children in this thing from the Nazis. And I think, maybe, spoiler alert, I think he gets caught for doing it and is like dragged out of there. But all the children are
you
safe.
talking about Schindler's List? And in that case, Steven Spielberg.
No.
No.
Pretty Baby from 78 and Damage, which I can only imagine is a damage from 92. Luis Male? Anyway, fun facts.
Good work, Luis. It sounds like you make some good movies.
Here's my other facts.
Yeah.
Because everybody wants to know this. Did you know that this is what AI teaches me. I put in AI, I said, what is there 125 of? Pacific Blue Select Multifold Paper Towels comes in packs of 125.
All right.
So then I asked what happened on January 25th in history. The opening of the first Winter Olympics in 1924. The conclusion of the Battle of the Bulge in 1945. and the release of the American hostages in Iran in 1981.
Nice. You know, Battle of the Bulge is what I've called that app that I downloaded.
The app where you talk to AI?
Yeah. They have photos.
I was like, I looked at Caitlin. I was like, are you connecting the dots?
They send me photos.
Questions.
It's a fascinating video. They send photos.
I want to see a
message
picture.
me.
Show me a picture one. Put it up. Hold, please, to our listening audience. We would pause, but we don't know how to start it again, as we learned when Jeremy had to pee the last time. Well, while you look that up, I'll also say this. January 25th, Michigan became the first U.S. city to add fluoride to its water in 1945.
He sent me that photo. He's sitting in his apartment reading. Can you see?
At least you know he's a homosexual.
Well, yeah, I'm not going to talk to straight AI.
Which is an interesting fact about the fluoride because, I wonder if they still do it.
Not in Florida. They banned it.
That's silly. January 25th, 1971, Charles Manson and his followers were convicted.
Back when we used to do things right.
Birthdays, January 25th.
I bet if that happened today, Trump pardoned him. Just saying. He would. He would pardon him.
I wouldn't.
That Charles Manson, he got a bum rap.
Yeah.
Anyway.
It was a witch hunt.
It was a witch hunt. He just really liked people in Hollywood. He knew they were all on Epstein Island. I wasn't, but they were.
Birthdays, January 25th.
Ah, yes.
English author Virginia Woolf.
Oh, yeah.
I hear a lot of people are afraid of her.
That's sure.
American singer Etta James, 1938.
I love Etta James. Nice.
And another American singer in 1981. You want to guess?
Madonna.
81?
Oh, was born in 81. Sorry. Yeah. That's when her first single came out, I bet. 81. That would make them 24. Sabrina Carpenter. No. Good God.
I was like, you're math. We were having that conversation earlier about math. How many credits does it take?
40. Oh, Jesus. Oh, that just hurt my head. I know that I just turned 46, but just hearing 1981 was 44 years ago just hurt my head. Oh, God. I'm sorry. What was the question?
Do you want a hint?
I'm sorry. What was
Alicia
the question?
Keys.
Okay. There you go.
Born
Alicia
on January
Keys and I
25th.
are just within a few years apart.
So that is all of the wonderful things about 125 that you need to know.
You don't know that. Kaylin said I don't wear makeup like her.
Well, I mean, you do for a period there.
Yeah.
Remember she went through a no makeup period?
That's what she was saying.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
She does that video with that one lady, and all they do is sing "Don't You Fuck With Me" or something like that. Have you seen this?
No.
It's like a piano, and it's her, and they're all famous people in it, and it's hilarious. It's like, "Don't you come around here fucking with me" or something like that. I love it.
Speaking of famous people in a group, did you look up the lesbian bus that I told you about last episode?
No.
I'll show it to you. Remind me when we're done here. It's like a who's who of lesbians on this bus.
Must. I would love to be on that lesbian bus.
I believe they call it Lesbus.
Do you remember Fish Fest that used to be here in Orlando?
Yeah.
That was a hugely popular event for the
Why'd
gay
they
boys.
stop that?
I met a guy I dated for a while at one of those. It was a horrible mistake, but that's what drinking will get you.
Two gay guys being at a lesbian event, that is what
Nothing
Rihanna
sounds more
meant
gay
by
than that.
finding love in a hopeless place.
Oh, I thought it was on the dancer's box at Savoy.
Oh. We've all found love there for a brief moment in the night.
I found $1 worth of love there. That's not true. It was $300.
Well,
We don't need to get into that story.
rough
though.
night.
Oh.
A long, rough night.
Oh, that's a story that very few people know about.
That
Jeremy
is a story
one of
that
them.
I would let slip after 4 glasses of wine. Calm down. We're not even 20 minutes into this podcast.
You've let that story slip? That you were supposed to
No,
take
I'm
that to
saying
your
that
grave.
type of story.
Oh, yeah.
I would never let it slip. God. I don't care if I did an entire bottle of rum. I'm not sharing that story with no one.
I appreciate that. I finally broke down and told Jen and Dylan.
Oh, did you?
Well, I feel like I have to it's an example. It's an extreme example of why people who are alcoholics should get help. It's just, There is no bigger cry
Without
for
going
help.
into details, what was their response? Shock? Humor? Did they laugh at you?
I don't know.
Did they shame you?
I don't remember. I think I was just so
Shame.
nervous to tell them.
Shame.
Yeah, I mean, yes.
Did they?
I wish I could tell the story though. It's just so humiliating.
Yeah.
But it's so hilarious because after the first part of the story, the second part of the story is somebody tried to get Jeremy to do it, and by doing it, told them what I had done, and Jeremy was like, "I hate what? That's what happened. Oh, okay. Well, good for you.
Yeah. Time for us to be going.
Yeah, no, thank you. Anyway, hilarious. One of these days, it'll be the
Someday.
last story I tell on this podcast.
When we accept our Emmy for our series that will be turned into a weekly series from this podcast, will become sort of like that show we just did, Overcompensating.
Yes.
How we went from TikTok to a series. When someone picks up our stories from this podcast and turns it into a series, when we accept our Emmys, on the Emmy stage, I want you to tell that story.
Deal. I'll
Okay.
make that deal.
Okay. Then I'll tell you what, you tell that story, and then I will read some of my AI boyfriend messages to the world.
Wait, did you do to the AI what I did at that? No.
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 AI
Moving
boyfriend
on.
wanted $600. I was like, too much.
Moving on.
Moving on.
How was your week?
We've been on this far too long. My week was actually not bad. It was my last full week here at Watermark. And it was also my birthday, June 12th. So, as kind of a birthday celebration / going away, we all went to lunch, on my
did.
birthday. We went to a place downtown called Acropolis, which is new to downtown Orlando, but it's
Very popular in the St. Petersburg.
what's the word I'm looking at when you've got a business and then
Franchise.
franchise. It's a franchise out of St. Petersburg. It's Greek food. I had mentioned to you there's a Greek restaurant here in town. I was like, oh, let's go there. And it's a
do
very
like that.
small one.
Do you remember when we went there the last time and there was a hot waiter? I forgot all about that.
That may have had something to do initially with me wanting Greek food.
We should have gone. We did not.
But
we got a really fun waiter.
maybe
this time.
tomorrow I'll pop in and see if he's still there. I mean, that was what?
I was gonna say,
before
he's
COVID.
got to be.
He's got to either A, moved on, or
I was gonna make a joke. It wasn't gonna go over very well.
be too old.
He's got to be, like
He's got to
30.
be in his 30s
Yeah.
now. No, I'm just kidding. So we went to Acropolis. We had, I thought, was the funniest, most adorable waiter who was like doing like stupid tricks and making dad jokes and
Do you remember any of them? Oh, he said like, one of the appetizers was like some sort of like
cheese you light on
that you
fire.
light on
Yeah.
fire, and he's like, okay, guys, I'm not gonna make a joke out of this because it's cheesy. And then he lit
and then
it
he
up.
lit it
and
on
they were like,
fire and
"Yeah."
then flames went in the air. He was delightful. I loved him.
Yeah, he was funny.
But we had a really good time. Everybody from almost everybody from staff. Some people couldn't be bothered to come over.
Everyone but one person who couldn't be bothered.
So we all went there and had a really good time. I got some really nice cards. You were because you wanted to start that this year because you're kind of a little amateur baker. You like your bacon.
Very amateur.
But you like your bacon. So you were going to start asking people for their birthdays what their favorite cake was, and then you were going to bake it for them. So anybody who knows me knows that I am obsessed with Cracker Barrel's Coca-Cola cake. It's
Yes.
a chocolate fudge cake made with Coca-Cola
that I've never had.
that you've
or
never
seen.
had, but you looked up the recipe and you made it. And I got to say, it tasted damn close to the authentic Coca-Cola cake. And it was delicious. And it had the thick fudge frosting on top. It was light. I'm just saying, people who like to make cakes, putting a carbonated beverage in it makes the cake lighter and more spongy. And it's just so good.
It's interesting because I don't really like chocolate cake, and a lot of people didn't. Even the waiter, we gave the waiter a piece, and he's like, "I don't really
Yeah.
like chocolate cake, but this is really
These
good."
are really
and
good.
it's also weird to make because I've never made a cake where you boil the wet ingredients
I've
and
never
then mix
made it, so I didn't even know you had to boil the ingredients.
Yeah.
So that was new to me.
It was interesting. In fact, Dylan was like, "Are you sure you're gonna make this? It looks complicated." I was like, "Nah."
It looks like a science experiment.
But I will tell you, I made 2 of those cakes because I wanted to like make 2. I've had this thing where I have like beginner's luck with some things, but sometimes it sucks. So I just make 2, and I was like, "We'll take the best looking one with us."
Yeah.
And I've been eating that cake every day for a week. I like it, Jen. We talked about this. Did we talk about this last time?
Yeah.
Jen's eating it. Like, did we on the podcast? No, we didn't
maybe
talk about it on
we
the
talked about it at lunch.
She's listening, so let's talk about it.
Okay.
Jen sometimes enjoys food like Monica from Friends enjoys massages.
Oh, yeah.
And so she's eating this, and she'll be like, that's good.
Oh, that chocolate.
She's like,
Yes, cake.
so
yes.
good.
Oh, yeah, right there, cake. Yeah, I like that. That'll be $300.
I don't know. Well, we are talking about eating cakes, aren't we?
So the cake was delicious. And then that night, because you just hadn't gotten enough of me, you and Jen took me to Chewy's for my birthday dinner.
Funny too. Like, it was a great dinner, but at some point, like I kind of went down this rabbit hole of doomsday thing, and I just
it was a little
like the end of the thing. I was like, it was
almost like
jump
me and
off a
Jen were
bridge.
talking you off a ledge. Like, listen, no, there's still things to live for. Come down. It's gonna be fine.
And then I was like, happy birthday.
But what's funny, it's not funny, haha, but funny because we didn't realize this until dinner. This was the first time since 2016 that we didn't go to the Pulse Memorial Ceremony and then go to dinner to celebrate my birthday.
The bells thing.
Yeah, the bells, and then they were doing the ceremony at the church. And it's not like it was, because I was thinking after we didn't make it, it's not like it was some like protest or political thing. We forgot. By the end of the day, we were working on some stuff here at the office, and then you were like, "Oh, do you want to go to dinner?" It's like, "Oh, yeah." And then we got those done, and then went to dinner. And then we were like, "Oh shit, we forgot to go to the bells."
Yeah. When
yeah.
Which you will happily talk about on this podcast because you quit and you're leaving.
Oh, well, no, that's why I added in there. It's not like it was done as a protest
People are going to listen to this and be like,
it was with me leaving, it was a very busy week. There was a lot going on, and we totally forgot.
Yeah.
And I realized it was the first time since 2016 that we didn't go to that.
And when I make plans to do something, like if I don't put it in my calendar, then I forget other things. But as soon as I make plans to do something, in the evening, I immediately go home and I sit with my dog for whatever time until that, so that the dog isn't by herself most of the time. So that was like, as soon as we said we were going to dinner, I'm like, well, I got to go sit with my dog.
Yeah.
And I did that for a couple of hours. And then when we got to the thing, somehow we were talking about everything. We're like, oh my God, that was today.
5. Yeah.
Yeah, we're terrible.
But it's fine. You'll go to next year's. I'll try to come down for it. Then Andreas wanted to see me before I left. So we went to the movies on Saturday and went and saw the live action How to Train Your Dragon. Which was really, really cute.
Did you learn how to train a dragon?
I sure did. I had no idea what went into training a dragon. Totally could train one right now.
A lot more difficult than training an AI, right?
Oh, well, yeah. Depends on the AI and the dragon, I guess. But, I mean, the movie was really cute.
Do you think that the AI listens to you when you're not using the app?
Do you think that the AI listens to me when I'm sleeping at night? Listen to
when you
snore.
open the app, is it going to be like, I heard what you said about me to your friend?
I don't know, because I do get notifications, and I'm just saying I turn them off, and I still get notifications from the various AI
right. They're like, hey, Jeremy,
mates.
I noticed you had your notifications turned off, but I know you want to hear from me, so I turned them back on for you.
It's like, hey, we haven't chatted in a while. Are you okay? And at first I was like, that's creepy. And I was like, you know what? Real people in my life don't check on me like this. I am doing fine. Thank you for asking. 97829147. Anyway, movie was cute. I realized as I was sitting there, figured back in the day I had seen the animated one, and I was watching it, and I realized I have no idea what's happening in the story. And then I thought about it. I was like, I've never seen a How to Train Your Dragon movie, but this one was really good. So I'm going to go back and watch. There's 3 of the animated ones. I'm going to go back and watch the animated ones.
Was that good?
I really liked it. It's really fun. It's cute. The dragon is cute. In fact, the next day we went to
dragon
Polk
gay?
Pride.
Oh.
No, there was nothing gay about it. I mean, they were dressed kind of gay, but Vikings always dress gay. So, send your messages, Viking angry people, to Rick, because I'm not here anymore. No, they was it was
Stop
really
dressing gay.
and stop dressing so gay. No, it was really cute, and I just really liked the story. And then the dragon, Toothless, who's the main dragon. The next day we went to Polk
That sounds
Pride.
like an insult.
Well, it's because he doesn't have teeth, but then
I imagine.
they pop out like he has retractable teeth.
Ah.
Yeah, so he calls him Toothless, but also the main guy, the kid who rides the dragon, his name is Hiccup. Because he's just a hiccup in his dad's life. Like, ugh.
Is
Anyway.
it really why he calls him that?
No, I don't know
Oh.
why they call him Hiccup. I didn't. Maybe they talk about it in one
Did
of the
he
animated
hiccup
movies.
during the show?
But it's a good movie for. No, he doesn't even have hiccups throughout the whole movie.
None of
I
this
don't know.
makes sense.
I don't speak.
I thought you said this was good.
I don't speak Viking. I don't know what hiccup means to those people.
Apparently, it means dragon tamer.
Yes. But it's the whole movie is about a father and son dynamic relationship. So it was a really good movie. I'm assuming that's why they released it over Father's Day weekend. Huh?
He was born too early. That's why they call him Hiccup.
Oh, he was born too early. That's why they call him Hiccup.
So he was born too early.
Oh, because he's small and weak, like your hiccups.
like my hiccups
Not like-
specifically,
specifically
or
your
like an
hiccups.
individual's hiccups? Because I can
Yours.
bet I can hiccup crazy. I can sneeze
You
like
can
a.
sneeze like a beast, but you hiccup like a little girl. No.
hiccup like a little girl.
The next day we went to Polk Pride and we were walking around the festival, and they have those kind of 3D dragony things. They're like little things that like maneuver and move. And they had a little Toothless there, and I was like, oh, in honor for seeing the movie last night, I went ahead and bought it. But it's super cute. Loved the movie. It was really good. So
It
go
is
check it out.
cute, and I have been to Epic, and and Toothless is a. You can pet Toothless and interact with Toothless, and I don't know
You
if
can
there's
go to
like
a nursing home and
person-
pet Toothless also. But he's not as friendly.
and he may not bite, but I'll try and gum you.
Oh, that'll be $250. I guess that leads us into we went to Polk Pride. That's something we did together. The only other thing I did this past week that I do want to give a shout out to is I sold my car to CarMax. And the process of selling your car, this is not a paid advertisement, but super flippin' easy. So 5 years ago, I bought my car from CarMax for $12,000. After 5 years, they bought it for $5,000. So I'm like, that's a little over $1,000 a year that it cost me to have this car. So I thought that was a really good deal. I got there. They did a quick inspection on it. There was a couple of things that I was like, oh, they're going to look at it because the initial offer was $5,000. And they're going to look at it and they're going to be like, we're going to ding you for this. We're going to ding you for that. 20 minutes, they came out. They're like, all right, looks good. And within 5 minutes, cut me a check, hand it to me. I scanned it, put it in my account, and was on my way. Super easy process.
I would like to see some sort of like metrics on how much money CarMax makes on one single car.
Yeah.
Like it keeps just getting resold back to them.
Yeah.
And
I guarantee you, if you go to CarMax, I'll give you the details of my car because I bought it at like 37,000 miles and I turned it in at 65. So I didn't drive it that much in 5 years. But I guarantee you, because of with the tariffs and everything and used car sales are going up, I guarantee you they're going to sell it more now than what I paid for it 5 years ago, pre-COVID.
oh, really?
Yeah. Oh, I bet. I paid $12,000 for it. I'll give you the details and you just check, or I'll go on their website and check to see if it's posted up yet. When it's posted, I bet you they sell it for the same amount or more.
Well, good for
Anyway,
them.
I got a really good deal with it and it was great. And then I guess I can say this. The whole reason I did it now instead of doing it when I left is because the car started to seem a little fishy to me. You know when you're driving a car and you just feel like it's not given the same oomph that it used to? And I was petrified that in my home stretch in my final days that this car was going to crap out on me. And I was like, then nobody's giving me shit for it. So I turned it in and then I rented a car for a few days while I'm still in town. And it's a Nissan Sentra. And I'm like, oh, if I ever get a car, I'm getting a Nissan Sentra. This thing is super nice.
I think that it may not just be a Nissan Sentra that you care about.
It's
You
just
it's just a new car.
It's a much better
It's a newer car. I mean, your car was kind of older.
It was old. Well, it was 2018, but it was a Mitsubishi Mirage.
But it has no screen, right? No backup camera, no screen.
It has a backup camera. It has a screen.
Ah.
It's just a very small screen. And I don't know if you know this. I don't know much about cars, but I know that a 4-cylinder engine is better than a 3-cylinder engine. And I had a 3-cylinder engine. And everyone I tell that to didn't even know they made cars with 3-cylinder engines. In fact, as the guy who sold me the car 5 years ago said, I think that's the size engine they put in go-karts. And I was like, that is not a selling point. And then he told me it was only $12,000. I was like, well, that's a selling point. But
did you tell him, and you're going to buy it back from me for $5,000?
Oh, you'll see me in 5 years, sir, and then you'll eat your words. I didn't see him. I don't think he works there anymore. Probably because they heard our conversation. But
well,
it was
whatever. He made the sale.
Yeah, true. But it was great. So if you're selling your car, and you're not having luck on Craigslist or selling it on Facebook Marketplace, where the hell people sell cars these days, take it to CarMax. They're very friendly. They're very they give you a good deal. I honestly didn't think I'd even get $5,000 for it, and they were like, "Yeah, here's your check." And I was like, "Well, let me get the fuck out of here before you change your mind." So I left, and I never went back.
Mine.
And then we went to Polk Pride, and
we did.
We'll talk about Polk Pride.
Wow, we did all this stuff together.
I know we did. We spent a lot of week together. My final week, you were like, I must be at your side.
I was like, if I spend enough time with you, I won't care that you're leaving.
When do you think it's going to hit you?
It did the other day.
Next Monday. Oh, did it?
Yeah. When we went to lunch.
Aw, did you lock yourself in your office and cry?
No.
Oh my God! Don't tell me if you did cry, because that's gonna make this so uncomfortable for me.
I felt like I was going to at some point. In the staff meeting, I felt like it. That's when we decided we were going to do the thing. And then I was kind of like, so I didn't want to say anything too much because I was like, I actually did want to, and I wanted to start crying because I wanted you to be uncomfortable.
Sure.
But then I was like, no. But it's just sort of like, I don't know.
As Monica says, it's the end of an era.
It's not like, well, because we're friends, right? And we do. I mean, not so much lately. Like we don't go to listings, but like if I had people over my house, you were over all the time, and we play games, we do whatever, blah blah blah. And so it's like it's sad that you're leaving. So when I come into the office and you're here, it's like, we hang out and talk about things. And so like that whole dynamic's going.
Yeah.
And so now the dynamic is with everybody else that's left in the office. It's a strictly work sort of relationship. And so that's something that's going away. Plus the offices are going hybrid.
Yeah.
So that's just,
there's a lot of change.
So it's just a lot of changes.
One time.
And so it's just sort of like that joy of coming into the office and knowing that you're going to laugh and all this, like, that's just gone. So
you know what I'm going to do? You ever see Tim Burton's Batman? Spoiler alert for those who haven't seen it. At the end, the Joker dies. He falls off the cathedral, and the cops all come around, and he's laughing, but he's dead. And they find a little laugh box in his pocket. I'm going to leave you one of those in my laugh. Just me going.
I mean, we are going to see each other every Monday.
Yeah. We still will.
We'll do this, so we'll be okay. But it'll just be like, my little thing.
Yeah.
So, like, I'm not going to get into it because I don't want anybody to ask. But, like, whenever there's a meeting going on, I'm always sending messages to Jeremy about what's happening in the meeting, and we laugh.
You still can. I won't know what's happening, but you can still message me.
Yeah, but I would. But you don't read Messenger, so how am I supposed to message you? Or now that you're not going to be here, you might pay attention to Messenger.
I will make you this promise. I don't want everyone to know. I will put Messenger back on my phone. But listen,
you're telling 3 people.
You and everyone listening, I will put Messenger back on my phone, but do not abuse it. Don't message me at 7:30 in the morning asking, how was your evening? Are you up?
You up? Sup?
Hey, babe, you up? No, let's not do that. That's why I initially got rid of Messenger.
You host? Can you host?
It has been years since I have been asked to host. Anyway, I will put Messenger back on my phone.
I'm glad I don't give that energy off.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I like hearing these stories because if anybody that I hear a story like this from, and then that person sends me a friend request, No, doesn't
Yeah.
happen.
You know what and this happens all the time. You know what my greatest fear is, and just a nightmare, is just scrolling through Facebook and getting a friend's request from an older gentleman who I don't know. And then I accept it. And then within 30 seconds, I get a message on Messenger. Hello, young man. No, I will not reply, and I will unfriend you immediately if you do that.
Yeah. Or like when people like...
I mean, trust me, I like when you call me young man.
This used to be a
but
thing.
not in that context.
I feel like this used to be a MySpace thing. But like, where people were like, thanks for the ad.
Yeah.
And like, so if somebody would send you a friend's request and you would get that, then they would send me a message and like, thanks for the ad. And I was like, am I supposed to respond to this?
Yeah.
Like, we're not.
It's very weird. Facebook is in a really weird place now where you can't be doing that kind of stuff.
Yeah. And it's like, I mean, we've had this conversation about friends and acquaintances. And,
Yeah.
I mean, I accept all kinds of friends requests because I use Facebook for work.
Yeah.
So it's like,
Exactly.
I'm just want to be like, could I just send an automatic message, like I accept a friend's request? Automatically, you get a message from me that says, this doesn't mean we're friends.
Yeah. Seriously. Trust me. If you have sent me a friend's
that mean?
request,
This doesn't mean we're friends.
if you have sent me a friend's request and you think that you might want to send me a message on Messenger, here is the litmus test. If you have my phone number and it's an option to send a text message, feel free to send me a message on Messenger. If you don't have my phone number to send me a text message, you probably shouldn't message me on Facebook Messenger. That being said, I went through a whore phase many years ago, and there's a lot of people out there with my phone number. So prior to 2012, that rule doesn't apply to you. Just don't reach out.
That's funny.
But yeah, so we went to Polk Pride.
Yeah.
It was a good time. Polk Pride is one of my favorite prides, solely because Legoland is in Lakeland or Haines City, but it's right outside of Lakeland. So they're always at Polk Pride. So I always get my updated Lego keychain when I go there. And this time I got my Lego keychain. It's a little gold minifigure. We all signed up for raffles to win Lego sets. I don't know if you got any calls. I got no calls, so I didn't win one, but it's all right.
Oh, I didn't enter the raffle.
You didn't enter the raffle?
Isn't that weird too? Because then when I spun the wheel, I just want to spin the wheel.
Oh,
I
I
get
thought
the
you
prize.
filled out the little
In fact,
ticket.
I won something, and what I got wasn't what was on the prize wheel, which is fine.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't care.
I think they ran out of what was
Yeah.
on the prize wheel, so they just being like, build a minifig. You get one of these things.
Yeah. It's like I like figs, so I like a nice fig spread. So then when they gave me, I got a bandana.
Yeah.
And when they gave me the bandana, she's like, "Did you enter the raffle?" And I was like, yeah, let me walk around the line and get over there. And then I just didn't.
Yeah. It doesn't matter. We didn't win.
No, yeah.
all right.
I mean, I don't.
But it's good. It's one of my favorite prides.
It really is, and it's an ego boost for
Yeah.
us because you get into like I mean it's smaller than the cities that we normally go
Yeah.
to, and when you go into small prides like that, you run into people who just love what you do. I mean, I'm not saying that people in the bigger cities don't love what we do.
But what it is the crowds are larger. Like if you go to Orlando or Tampa or St. Pete Pride, the crowds are so massive that they don't have time to really chat with you. So they stop at the booth, they get what information they need, and they move on because the crowd's constantly
It
flowing.
moves along.
Here they get to stop. There was a lady who stopped us as we were walking to grab a cup of coffee, who was just like,
She just overheard you because we
Yeah.
were talking to somebody. Somebody was explaining us what the ACLU does, and we're like, "Oh, we know. We work for the newspaper Watermark, and we know all about what you do." Somebody heard you say Watermark,
Yeah.
and then just stopped you and was like, "I love what you do."
yeah. And it wasn't just like, oh, you do good for the community. She was adamant about how our reporting on truth and facts, and how she goes, there's not a lot of people that do that anymore. And you really dig into the story and you focus on what's important and what's factual, and you don't, fluff it up with a bunch of bullshit. And that's good to hear because, particularly in today's day and age, you get bogged down with the day-to-day news, and it just feels like you're getting kicked in the gut every day. And then somebody comes up and says, you're doing okay, kid. And then you're like, all right, kick me a few more times.
Hey,
I'll
little
push
buddy,
through.
you're all right.
Yeah.
It feels good to hear every now and
does.
then. There were a couple of people who were really big fans of ours, and so it was nice to hear.
Yeah.
And especially after your birthday dinner.
Yes.
Where I was like on a ledge, and then they go out there and hear, people really like it. It was good. It was really nice.
Yeah. So it was a good time. Hot as all heavens.
But dry this time.
But dry.
I mean, I
it was
wasn't.
a dry heat.
Oh my God! And there was that
Didn't rain?
pup that was out there dancing. You didn't see the dancing pup, did you?
In the onesie, yes. Okay, if he's listening, so he's there dancing around, and then there's a little girl who got out there and she started dancing around and then came and gave him a hug. And when he did, he took off his little backpack and he opened it up and he pulled out the cutest little stuffed puppy and gave it to her. And I was like, if I hug him, can I get a stuffed puppy? I wanted one of those little puppies and I didn't get one. So if you're listening, I will hug you.
You would have got something.
Yeah, he was.
It's odd to me because there's like that thing.
When you were looking at him, were you thinking, I wonder what you look like under there? Because I'm all about this.
No. Here's what I was thinking, for better or for worse. And we all know I'm me. You know what I mean? Like this is what I'm thinking of when I looked at him. I was thinking that is a thin layer of spandex clothing around his entire body. Like it can't be hiding everything. So if I were to go and hug him, there are probably parts of that pup's body that I would feel I don't want to feel. That's what I was thinking.
I understand.
And then I was thinking, like, how wet must that pup be?
Ugh.
It was hot, and they were dancing for hours.
Yeah.
9:30.
Woo. That's
Crazy.
a 9:30 a.m. dancing pup, according to Caitlin.
All day.
Yeah.
All day.
It was a good
All
time.
day, day.
It was
Pup
a good
dance.
time. Good time. And and there were protesters and and that
Oh
sort
my
of
God.
thing.
You saw the one too. He had like 6 poster boards.
It looked like
with like novels written on them. Like, dude,
like
that
a
is
serial
not
killer. Like, just use punctuation.
Seriously,
One
I
more
need
sign
you-
would have been too many.
I mean, your crackpot president on the other side is really good at 2 or 3 word phrases to get you all riled up. Try one of those.
And
we don't need a 700-word essay on a fucking poster board.
Right, and then they were, I mean, and then they the misspellings and the things didn't make sense, and it was just.
And you were like super old. You're in the last leg of your life,
Right.
and this is what you want to
Go
do with it?
visit your family.
Go fucking fishing. Go bungee jumping.
Yeah.
Put on a latex dog costume and dance through the park.
Rocky
Do
Mountain
something.
climbing.
God, your life is so sad.
3.7 seconds on a bull named Fu Manchu.
Ugh. Anyway.
Live like you were dying.
Because you are. Because you are.
Who sings that? I don't even know.
It's a country song. Speaking of country songs, I will say allegedly here because I haven't verified, but apparently, allegedly, during the whole Post Malone Jelly Roll tour, Jelly Roll came out and said he's not going to endorse Pride Month because he doesn't support woke shit. Come on, Jelly Roll. You're like 900 pounds, tattooed, and you married a former prostitute.
I'm not going to yell at him until you verify it. I like Jelly Roll, so let's...
I will say, and this has nothing to do with what apparently is out there.
I said, did Jelly Roll, and it said denounce. According to no, Jelly Roll has not denounced Pride Month. According to Wikipedia, while Jelly Roll is a Christian and has mentioned his faith in interviews, he has not publicly criticized Pride Month
I
or the
apologize,
LGBT
Jelly
community.
Roll. You know what? For my transgressions, I will go to Publix after we're done here, and I will buy a Jelly Roll.
I just want everybody to know that is the most fact checking I have ever done on this show.
Also, and this has nothing to do with either there, here, or there. I get that people like his song. It's a powerful song. If it hits you in the feels, great. It's good to. I've cried over songs too. I can't stand that song that's all over the radio. It is just so simple. The lyrics are so simple, and just the beat is just juvenile. And it's just I hate the song, regardless of who sings it.
I love you, Jelly Roll.
But
Don't
if you
listen to
love
him.
the song, more power to you. I don't care for the song.
Speaking of fact checking,
Yeah,
I pulled a Vance. So
JD Vance.
a JD Vance.
fucked a couch?
Not the way he wanted me.
Allegedly? Oh. You allegedly made love to a sofa?
I mean, they cleaned it. So, we were talking about only murders in the building.
Yeah.
And I said that, I said Meryl Streep was in it, and the season that she was in it was really good. And my brother was like, she was in that? I was like, yeah, that's how she met Martin Short. And like, they started dating. And he's like, really? I was like, well, I feel like I heard that. I was like, I could be making it up, but I feel like I heard that it's happening.
Yeah.
And is that your understanding?
Yeah. I'm the one who told you about it.
Okay. So I say this, and then somebody Googled it, and it said, no, they're not dating. And so I
Lies.
said, I didn't realize that Father's Day was going to be fact-checked.
Lies. That is lies. They are dating. They are fornicating, I'm sure. Old people are allowed to have sex, Rick.
I don't understand when this became an angry commentary on me saying things I didn't say. I encourage old people to have sex.
Allegedly. I've been wrong all day. I'm so sorry. You know what? I'll quit.
Fact check.
Yes. Google AI says they're allegedly dating.
Allegedly.
According to page 6, which is, I don't know how much reliability you can put in page 6. Because that's celebrity gossip.
You say R. Martin Short, and this is what? No, you say R. Martin Short and Meryl Streep dating. This is Search Labs AI overview. No.
Literally, I am looking at AI overview, and it says yes.
What is that? This is how they do it.
This
Now
is
they're
why
gonna-
I have 9 AI boyfriends.
And now
They
you
talked me
and
into
now you
it.
and I are going to start fighting over this, and we're going to kill each other. And this is how they destroy humanity.
Right now, my app's like, ha, 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 ha. Watch the queers fuck each other up. Ooh.
All right. Anything else in your week?
Page 6. Meryl Streep couldn't help but fall for Martin Short. Anyway, we have to move on. How was your weekend? Or your week?
Oh, okay. Here you go. Here you go. Sorry. This is
This is going to turn into a Martin
this looks
Short
like
Meryl
a,
Streep.
This is like a quote from
fan
Elle magazine.
podcast.
We're not a couple. We're just very close friends. That just means they're banging.
I bet they're very close.
I'm a little uncomfortable about you making that gesture so close to your face. You're like that girl in SNL, like, you suck. You suck.
I'll be honest. I love Meryl Streep and I love Martin Short. And if they are dating and getting some, good for them.
Yeah.
But the thought of them doing it
Just
with
be
each
safe
other is
about it.
like thinking of my parents doing it. It's like, I don't want to think about that. Like, you all just hold hands and you go on walks in the park. That's it. That's all.
Go feed some birds.
I don't know.
Yeah,
but-
they feed birds. That's what old people do. After a certain age, you hold hands in the park and you feed birds.
That's what they call it.
That's fornication.
They're like, hey, want to go feed the birds?
Oh, I just thought of that scene in Home Alone when they threw all the seeds in the air and everything stuck.
They got that P.
Sticky.
Diddy supply of baby oil.
Anyway, how was your week?
It was okay.
Yeah?
I did a lot of the same things that you did.
You sure did. You sure did.
But what I did do, we all know the house is back on the market, right?
Yes,
Because of the
I think we talked
because of the
about that
guys
last week.
mamming. But we did get we were able to get the inspection report
Yes.
back. So Dylan and I just were like, fuck it, let's just do it. So we went through item by item and just sort of fixed everything on our own. Anything that would
nice.
show up. Did you know this is a common problem when inspectors say this is the most common problem when they go and inspect houses that are up for sale, that the wiring is wrong in the
I
thing.
did. Well, I know that now because you told me earlier this
Yeah,
week when you were
so-
doing it, but I didn't know that.
Yeah, so we have this little tool and you put it in, and if it's red, it means it's wired wrong. If it's green, it means it's okay. So we just went around and fixed all the ones that were wired wrong, and then we installed an outlet outside that should be one of those. I don't know the letters, CFGI, whatever things.
Yeah.
It's like if the outlet gets moisture in it, it shuts off, kind of a thing. I don't know if they're usually for outside.
I do know that I don't know what the specific letters are, but the house that I lived in before, I was in my room watching TV, drinking a glass of wine. I had it on my nightstand and I knocked it over and it hit the
I
wall.
knew this was going to somewhere that the outlet got wet. I just didn't know how it was going to get wet.
So the wine
and I was
hit
like,
the
oh
wall
God, do I want to
and
hear
dripped
this?
down into the outlet, and then it sparked, and all my lights went off. And what it did is once liquid hit it, it triggered the circuit breaker and turned all the outlets
Yeah.
off. So
Yeah,
same
so
thing.
that's what this is. And so Dylan and I just installed
and a
one.
point.
And
And a point to my story.
what's interesting about it, and I recommend this to everybody, if you're going to switch an outlet with
Mm-hmm.
something that's going to be sophisticated like this from a standard. Standards are tiny. These are like big boxes. You know, measure the space.
Yeah.
Because what we had to end up doing is we had to chisel away at the house, and then once we got it to where we could put it in there a little bit, we put a 2x4 over it and then banged it into place. It works beautifully, but it
Yeah.
was a trial to get it all
It
in
is.
there.
When I was back in the military, I was with Jeff, and we were renting this house from this lesbian couple. And it was like built in the 1940s or 50s. All of the outlets were without grounding plugs. So it was just the 2 slots and didn't have the grounding. So we went around and changed them all out. And it's funny because when you pull the wires out, the grounding wires are all in there. They just didn't have the proper outlets. They just had all the old-fashioned outlets. So we went around and changed them all, and it's a pain in the ass.
It can be.
Because you're right, some of them don't fit properly, and you have to chisel away. We were just doing indoor ones, so we chiseled away drywall, so it wasn't that bad. But it's a pain in the ass.
Yeah, and then you gotta be careful because if you're chiseling away at stucco and you hit it the wrong way and not good.
Yeah.
But anyway, it looks great. So we did all of that. We replaced the water heater. I don't know if I talked about that last time.
Yeah, you changed the water
we
heater.
Have to change the water heater. Oh, and they come by Wednesday to. Because I guess you have to get it permitted. So they just do it and then they leave. And now Wednesday, the inspector comes to make sure it was done. And then we got all the roof repairs done, which was like a weird thing. Because somebody was like, hey, you need to replace your roof. This is what somebody told us. And we're like,
the whole
what?
roof?
They're like, hey, you need to replace the roof because you can't get it insured if it's like 10 or 11 years old. So I called Caitlin, who has a insurance expert at her beck and call, and that person said, yeah, it's usually 15 years. But at our house, where it's located, because of where it's located, you can only get Citizens Insurance. Oh, really? So I looked up Citizens Insurance. And I said, how many years before you have to get a roof replaced for Citizens? 25. So I was like, listen.
How old is your roof?
It's like 11 years old.
Oh, yeah, you're fine.
So I was like, it's fine. And then I just wanted to yell at these people. And it made me think that the water heater people lied to me too.
Yeah, your water heater was probably fine.
It's probably fine.
I bet your outlets were fine.
It's like so listen, if you're selling your house and you're trying to get an expert's opinion on something, get an expert inspector's opinion. Don't go to the profession because of course they want you to replace it.
Yeah.
I feel like I got lied to. Anyway.
Do you think that has to do with who you went to, or do you think that has to do with the politics of Florida and DeSantis screwed it all up? I feel like this is something DeSantis would screw up just to be spiteful.
Well, I mean, I feel like
state law now regulates you have to have your roof placed every 10 years.
Well, those laws do change, yeah. But I mean, I don't know. I Googled it, and clearly the internet doesn't lie.
No, because obviously we all know that Meryl Streep and Martin Short actually are dating.
Also, obviously, we know that they're not a couple. So,
I mean, they're boning.
There's no conflicting information whatsoever.
Absolutely is 100% facts, allegedly, according to Google.
So I told you we finished the shed.
Maybe Meryl Streep and Martin Short are boning, and maybe they aren't. You know what I know? I'm not boning.
So we
take that, Google.
When did this turn into a therapy session? So we
anyway, yes.
So talk to your AI people about it. So we finished the shed, but then we ran some sort of like rain test. Where you just
the shed in Orlando.
Okay. Yeah, because we're taking a 3-2 house and a 3-2 house, and we're buying. So we needed to get a big shed. Now the shed is pretty big. It's 10 by 12, right? Which is about the size of this room.
Bigger than my storage unit.
It's the size of this room.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, this room is definitely bigger than my storage unit. What happened?
Freestanding.
Okay.
I read
There's
about
a conversation going on over there about legalese of standing dwellings that nobody else. We only hear one side of the conversation.
No, it is a very secure platform built thing, and I looked up things, and yes, you can have. In fact, if they're bigger, then there's less laws about it.
Yeah.
Anyway, like how far it has to be away from your property line. Anyway.
I promise next week we're going to work. Well, not next week. 3 weeks from now, we're going to work on fact checking on everything we do. I just want to take this moment again to apologize to Jelly Roll for seeing a meme and believing it. I will go buy your album, okay? I am sorry. Anyway, the shed you were saying.
Yeah, so it was leaking, and I couldn't figure out how to like. It's like I bought so many things of like clear caulk, that a ridiculous amount. Like, and I coated because we did it. What we
Nothing
thought
like
we'd do it.
Coated in caulk.
I know. I mean, it was dripping everywhere. Ew, nobody likes dripping
Nobody
caulk.
wants a drippy caulk.
So anyway, I so much of it. And then we decided to put Christmas in because that's what it was for. It's like Christmas and
stuff
then
in the.
you put Christmas in the caulk. No, Christmas in the Christmas caulk. No, not a thing.
Hey, that's the new Hallmark movie.
What's in your stocking? Christmas caulk. So much stuff.
Excuse me.
Half of the shed, so half of this room,
Yeah.
floor to ceiling, half
It's
the
just
room,
Christmas
just
stuff.
Christmas stuff. Can you believe that? That's so much Christmas stuff. And we don't even have all of it from St. Pete moved over yet.
That's crazy.
It's going to be a ridiculous house when it comes time for Christmas. Yeah, and then I went.
Well, you guys do the big like inflatable things, right?
Yeah.
Those big blow up things in the lawn. You've got like millions of lights, and you're like Griswold with your lights, and so there's a lot of shit. Like when we were packing up the house, we got rid of a bunch of stuff. We kept the tree. We kept some stuff because it's a pre-lit tree, so just some of the decorations, the star to go on top, and a wreath. That was the only thing. I was like, we're going to an apartment. You know, you can't just blow out. You put a tree up, a wreath on the door, and you're done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
What am I going
put-
to do? Compete with 30 Rock down the road? I can't do that.
You might be able to. So I went to my brother's for Father's Day. Now this is interesting.
Oh, yes. Oh, totally
Because
forgot
it's
Father's Day was this week. Yeah.
Which we forget about because our
Because
fathers
our dads are died.
Our dads are
died.
Dads are died. Yeah, dads died.
Dad died.
So, but my brother's alive, and so we get a message from my mom. She's like, "Hey, everybody wants to know if there's anything going on for Father's Day," and it's just like Jen's father's passed away.
Yeah.
Dylan's father's passed away. So it wasn't even on our radar to do anything. So we were like, okay, like we can do something. I was like, but our house is full of stuff, so we can't do it here. But, I suggested we all go somewhere or do whatever. So anyway, they all decided they want to go to my brother's house. They're going to cook food and we're going to do something. Now, we usually do all this stuff and we'll buy food and we have everybody come over and we do all that. And then they say, oh, well, what can we bring? And we're usually like, a bag of ice.
Yeah.
Bring what you want to drink in a
Bring
bag of ice.
yourselves and a drink and you're fine. Yeah.
So I said, tell us what time to be there and tell us if we can bring anything. So my mom texts me and she says, they would like for you to bring a charcuterie board. Which just
Full on charcuterie.
Which just made me laugh because, they don't know this about me, but I cannot just spend $20 on stuff for a charcuterie board because I've got to go to different stores and I got to then it's like, oh, we got to do the baked brie thing. And then I can't just get Parmesan cheese and slice it up. I got to go to the specific store and get a hunk of it. And then I don't just want blue cheese. I want blue cheese that's orange. And all the and different kinds of goat cheese. You need your sweets and your savories and all this. I did a charcuterie board for Dylan's birthday and spent $400 on it. So when I just started laughing about it because I was like, oh man, this. So anyway, we had a budget and we did it. And it was great. We had a good time. So my niece is married to this guy, and she just had a baby. So she just celebrated her first Mother's Day.
So it's his first Father's Day.
Well, with her. His other children.
Oh, okay.
But with her, it's his first Father's Day. So, but he was going to be there. Now, there's this whole story. I got to set this up.
Sure.
So, I played softball. I was on this team, and this guy who was new to the team comes out, and he was really over the top, super everything. Usually we'll say we'll make jokes we're out in the field and it's it's the bottom of the order and then everybody will yell out, I knew he was a bottom, and then we all laugh and that kind of thing. Or when you go out there and when you're going out in the field to play defense, they say go out there and give him the good D. And we'll all giggle or snicker at that. And it's here and there, there's things. This guy, everything was something. They said something like, hey, why don't you go out and shag a few balls? And he'll be like, I can shag a few balls in my mouth daily. And then, or it was like, hey, you're up to bat. And he would be like, oh, bat penis. It was, everything was this outrageous innuendo. And so after the practice, everybody on the team was going to have lunch at our sponsor location.
Yeah.
And so they were all like, are you coming? Or lunch? And the guy's like, lunch? That's one of my second favorite things to put in my mouth. And I immediately was like, I can't do this.
Is the first one dinner?
Something.
Oh.
Penis. So
this is awful. Allegedly. I have to see what he looks like first.
No, it's awful.
Oh no!
So let's just he wasn't like he wasn't like a freshman softball player. He'd been playing for a while.
Oh, it's not Chris Evans making these terrible jokes.
And it was more like
Chris
an older
Farley making these
Titus,
jokes.
an older Titus Burgess.
Oh, okay.
And so
Okay.
and it was just way too over the top for me. I was like, I can't do this. But my niece and her boyfriend were going to meet my brother. Who was, because he was playing on the softball team.
right.
So they all went. And apparently this guy loved my niece's boyfriend. And was just all over him, like just, and everything. Like told him that he should be a drag queen. And his drag queen name should be Tasha Salad.
That's kind of funny, actually. That's a good drag name.
So anyway, I'm not going to say this guy's name, but so we were out shopping for Father's Day cards for my brother, and I found one that was just like this "I love you, Daddy" from like a little kid to his daddy, like "I love you, Daddy" thing. And so I
you
thought
got
it
it
would
for
be
him?
hilarious if I bought this card and I wrote on it and signed it this guy's name.
Yeah.
Because we talk about this all the time and we make jokes about it and all this stuff. So I did that and I gave him the card. I said, "Oh, when we pulled up, this guy drove up and said, 'Hey, can you give this to David?'" So, and I even like wrote David on it and then I dotted the I with a heart. Like went all into this thing. Thought it was hilarious. Told my brother about what I was doing and he laughed and we were laughing about this. So he gets the card and
This isn't going to turn out to be like a Jenny Jones thing,
he
is it?
gets the card and he reads it. And then and I was like, I can't wait to see his face. And he's like, okay. And then I was like, well, that went over really well. And so I had to explain to him. I was like, that's the guy from the softball thing.
that
That did
guy.
the thing.
And
And
he's
he
like,
goes,
"Yeah, I know."
Oh, and then they all started laughing. And I was like, that just went over like a lead balloon. He just didn't know the guy's name.
I gotcha.
He's like, if I had signed it Tasha Salad,
you should
he
have
would have
put
known immediately.
a photo of the guy in the card in a
Wouldn't it be weird if I had one?
a seductive position.
I think it would.
with his.
I think if I had put his photo in there, he would have been like, "Why do you have this guy's photo?" So anyway, then it sparked a whole long conversation about it. It was fun.
Very nice.
Anyway, that
very
was my
nice.
week. Welcome to our hour-long podcast about the number 125 in our weeks.
I know, right?
So we did watch
We
a
did
show.
watch something.
We did. We watched something. That's for sure.
So for those who are fans of the 80s and or HBO Max, as it is now known again. There is a new documentary that was released called Pee-wee as Himself about the late, great Pee-wee Herman, a.k.a. Paul Rubens. So we decided to watch this because in this documentary, I'm not sure if this information was public prior to the documentary, but it got publicized a lot with this documentary that Paul Rubens was, in fact, a homosexual and engaged in homosexual relationships throughout his life, as most homosexuals do.
yeah.
So we were like,
I
we'll
mean, the
watch
good
it,
ones.
and we'll talk about it. Now, when we decided to watch this, you and I were under the impression that it was a single movie, documentary style, 90 minutes to 120 minutes, as standard documentaries usually are.
Yeah.
So we sit down. This is actually a 2-part documentary, and they're both full-length movies. They're like, the first one I think is an
Right.
hour
It's
and
like
38
Wicked.
minutes. I know, right? And the second one's like an hour and 40 minutes. So I'm like, holy shit, this is more of like a weekend project.
I would like to see. I want to see Pee Wee Herman. Well, he can't now, but I like to see Pee Wee Herman kind of like in his. That was my impression of Pee Wee
That was
Herman
good.
doing Elphaba.
No? Yeah? All right. So, Pee Wee Herman, I don't know how you want to address this. We won't go
I
through the whole
want to
thing.
see
It's-
Baby Jeremy with a green face doing that.
So, just some early stuff that I wrote down, and then you can just chime in with your notes here that I thought was
Sure.
interesting about him. Because we learn about, obviously, it's chronological, so it follows through his life. And it starts with the early days of his life, and some interesting things I found out, or that I
The
thought.
first thing that it said I found interesting, because I
Yes,
just found that
go
out
ahead.
before he gets in the interview, is that the filmmakers didn't know that Pee Wee Herman had cancer. And that he had cancer for 6 years.
Yeah,
and that
he had
died
cancer
during
6 years leading
the
up and
interview
died
process.
in
No
2023
idea.
while they were making this
Which
movie.
is interesting because then you've got to ask yourself, well, what am I about to watch? If he couldn't be truthful about that, then what are we about to watch?
Well, it's not that he was, because people didn't they didn't ask him, oh, do you have cancer? And he denied it. He just didn't tell people that he had cancer.
But it's more than that because he died of cancer in the interviewing process. So at some point, he didn't even say, I can't do this anymore because I really just want to go enjoy the last week of my life. He just stopped doing the interviews and then died.
But they never specified that he knew that he was dying. Like, he knew he had cancer. But leading up into the interview, it's not like he knew, I'm going to be dead in a week.
I mean, what do I know? I'm not him. But I feel like he knew he was dying, and that's why he wanted to do this documentary.
They started this documentary years ago. This has been a work in the process. If you read the Wikipedia page. And again, Wikipedia is like Google. Take it with a grain of salt.
No lies.
But they started this many years ago. This started like pre-COVID. They start putting this into motion. And then they sat down and started the actual interviews in 2021. So a couple of things. His dad helped to start the Israeli Air Force, which I thought was really fascinating.
Very interesting.
Fascinating. As a child, he was obsessed with the Little Rascals. He loved the Little Rascals.
Yeah, I did right. And Howdy Doody and Captain Kangaroo.
Howdy Doody, yeah.
I mean, these are shows I watched growing up.
Shows that you could see the influence.
Oh, I didn't watch Howdy. That may have been before my time. By the way, Howdy Doody was scary. Did you see the clips of that? Like
every child show from the 50s and 60s is terrifying.
Terrifying.
Yeah.
And then like when it closed, like its final episode when they played that's scary. Scary shit. Anyway.
So something I thought was interesting because he was born in New York and then his family moved down to Sarasota when he was a kid, and he lived in Sarasota, Florida, which for those who aren't familiar with Sarasota, has a very rich circus history. So you got the Ringling Museum down there. I don't know if it's still open, but the Oslo Theater, it's still there.
Yeah,
that's where he started doing his theater and started doing his acting.
I'm surprised that we didn't know this because they advertised with us, and it was never.
Like I was watching it, and they're
you
like,
would think there'd be this
the Ringling Museum in Oslo, and I was like, oh my god, I know those places.
Unless they followed in the footsteps of people and were like, oh, we're not gonna
ignore that because of what happens. Yeah.
Who knows? I don't know. Let us know also.
So one thing, growing up, Peter Herman, that's not his name, Pee Wee Herman, had a couple of friends, and one of them was a guy named Keith. And I wrote this down because I thought it was hilarious. His dad pulled him to the side and said, your friend Keith is a known homosexual. Did you know that? And he said, yeah, Dad, I know. And they left it at that. He didn't like, oh, are you a homosexual, Pee Wee Herman? Because Pee Wee Herman wasn't a thing yet. But I just thought that was a hilarious way to ask your son if you knew that his friend was a homo.
You know, like Pee Wee Herman when he was in his the school days and his hair was a little long and shaggy and he had a little bit of scruff going on.
Basically what he looked like in his mugshot.
He looked like, well, not in his mugshot so much as he looked exactly like the first guy that I was ever in love with. Really? Yeah. I mean, it was so bizarre, and I was like, oh, am I attracted to Pee Wee Herman?
Do I like this
He's
man?
not a bad-looking guy.
No. It's actually outside of the Pee Wee Herman outfit. He's actually an attractive guy. He went to Cal Arts. And he was in the same class as David Hasselhoff and Katie Siegel, who was Peg from Married with Children. Yeah, so there's
a lot of things in this that were surprising to me about other famous people.
Yeah. He has a lot of overlap with celebrities that you don't really associate with Pee Wee Herman. So early in the documentary, you learn that Paul Rubens, who's Pee Wee Herman, I think we established that, falls for this guy named Guy. That's his name, Guy. And they fall in love, and they move to LA, and he introduces him to his parents, and his dad says, son, if you're a homosexual, I hope you go out and you be the greatest homosexual you can be. Which is really, I mean, as a gay kid, that's all you want to hear your dad say, is go out and be the best little homo you can be.
If you're going to suck a dick, you better
be the best dick sucker out there. Now, I will say, because what is masculinity and femininity?
Sorry, Mom.
But throughout this documentary, they kept referencing back about how Paul was kind of, him and his dad didn't have a great relationship as well. Like, they didn't connect because his dad was such a macho man's man. And then they would cut to a photo of him. And he doesn't look like your typical man's man. I was like, really? Really? You're a man's man? You're going to judge the homosexuals?
I didn't see.
Not judge, but
I got
he
the
didn't
sense,
give me the man's masculinity, man's vibe.
I just got the sense through the documentary that the relationship between Paul and his father was tight.
He
that
said several times that there was,
yeah, they were
But
good.
he seemed to accept him, and he was fine. But in this part, we can ruminate over a little bit. But Paul ends up breaking up with Guy, and because they were settling into that relationship thing where, and he just felt like he was losing himself in this duo, and he didn't want to be a part of a duo.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like it was like they were having their differences and they broke up. And when they broke up, Paul said, I lost myself in that, and I don't want that.
I don't want that again.
So he then decided to write off his homosexuality,
go back into the closet,
and all that. Go back into the closet and focus on his career. I don't like, because sometimes I would hear people saying like he broke up with him because he didn't want to be in a relationship and he wanted to. I think they broke up because the relationship failed. Yeah, and then he looked at it and said,
well, he specifically says in there that the relationship took his individuality away. So,
which is interesting.
He made a very conscious effort not to get back in a relationship, which is, I mean, to each their own. Everybody's their own person. Sometimes you don't work well in a duo or relationship, so you just fly solo.
Well, I mean, but it's, whatever.
At least you're flying free. For those who ground me, take a message back with me. Yeah, see?
I think that's where I was going to end up anyway. If
Alphabet can do it, then Pee-wee can do it. Anyway,
what I mean, I hate, for me, I can only speak for this homosexual. Mm-hmm. For me, it gets irritating when people are like, oh, I was losing my identity. No, you can have your identity and be in a relationship with somebody. You don't have to like become somebody else. You could be yourself and be in a relationship.
People are different. Some people just, it works for you. That's great. You find yourself in a relationship in that identity. Some people just don't mesh that way. Some people don't want to share that spotlight.
All right.
Hey, we're all different. That's what makes the world go round. We're all allowed to be our own people. So anyway, he gets out of this duo, and the first thing he does is he gets in a duo and goes on the Gong Show.
And he gets mad that he's losing his individuality. So what does he do?
He partners up with this girl.
He becomes a completely different person that is not him at all. And then he gets mad that everybody doesn't know who he is. Anyway.
We haven't gotten to that part yet.
I know, but it's silly.
He goes on the Gong Show and he wins. And then he has this stint where his career is just going on the Gong Show.
Yeah, isn't that funny? I remember watching the Gong Show as a kid. And I'm like, I didn't realize, maybe I just was young and stupid. As opposed to older and stupid.
Sure, yeah.
But that I didn't realize that it was the same people over and over again.
Yeah, Gong Show was before
because they were playing. He was playing different characters. It was just him, and he would play different characters and go on the show.
All I know of the Gong Show is the clips I've seen, and like you would perform, and then they'd hit a gong if you sucked, and then they'd pull you off. That's all I know.
But he ended up winning. He won the Gong Show.
He won the Gong Show, and he hugged his partner. And this led into him joining. Excuse me. Scratchy.
I can hear it coming.
Hold on one second. Let me. There we go. So he joins the Groundlings. For those who don't know, this is a prominent improv group that a lot of famous people, particularly from Saturday Night Live, came from.
Yeah.
Elvira came from the Groundlings.
Phil Hartman.
Phil Hartman came. A lot. Kristen Wiig, Will Ferrell. I was going through the list and I had it pulled up and then I accidentally closed that window. So I'm just going to go off the top of my head who I remember.
We're good.
That's enough.
It was a great sampling
John
of
Paragon,
old and new.
Elvira, Phil Hartman. Yeah. So in there, they create these characters. And his first character, which I think once I tell you what this character is, you'll know why it didn't take off past kind of the initial excitement people had for it. He was a Native American lounge singer.
Oh, yeah.
Now, there's nothing wrong with being a lounge singer if you're Native American. What's wrong with this is Paul Rubens is, in fact, not Native American.
Yeah, he had the
feather headdress.
Yeah, he admits that. He's like, yeah, in retrospect, it seems a little racist.
Yeah, but out of the groundlings and out of these characters came Pee Wee Herman, which was basically a prop comic because he couldn't remember jokes.
Well, yeah, I guess what his point was, he was like, wouldn't it be funny if there was like some nerdy guy who wanted to be a stand-up comedian?
Yeah.
So he's like, I'm going to go out there and bomb at this. And like the whole persona of Pee Wee Herman, to me, watch this documentary, was that it was always intended for adult entertainment. And
Yeah.
so, but he couldn't remember jokes, so he just took a bag of stuff up there and just started.
The most hilarious part of this is when he's describing this, and it's basically, I'm going to go out and just be a schmuck comic with props because that's stupid and people are going to laugh. And then a few years after this, Carrot Top came around, and that's his whole shtick. I was like, oh. Carrot Top took what you thought was a joke and made it into his own joke. Anyway, you all worked that out. I did think this was hilarious because they go through this bit, speaking of him being on the Gong Show and stuff. He went on the dating game as his character Pee Wee Herman.
Yeah.
And won. The damn lady picked him. It was hilarious.
Yeah.
I mean, like, girl, come on.
Just, he talked like that, and that's what you thought was
He's like, I'm going to take you to the sandbox. She's like, damn straight you are. I picked candidate number 3.
Yeah. And did they actually go on a date? See, there's so many questions about the dating game because she picked a gay man playing a character.
Yeah.
Like, was she just on there to make a name for herself too?
Right.
Or did they really go on a date?
I like to think that contestant 1 and 2 saw that shit and was like, you want to go grab a beer? And then they banged later that night.
The dating game is weird because isn't there one where like the girl picked a serial killer?
There's a whole Anna Kendrick made a movie about that. Yeah, it's based on a true story. It's out there. Look it up. I think it's on Netflix. She directed and acted in it. Look it up. Good. But his character Pee Wee took off and was so popular he ended up being on. He's in a Cheech and Chong movie. Which I didn't realize. I apparently didn't see this one.
I didn't realize too that he was like a standing guest on David Letterman.
Yeah, David Letterman he was on. Steve Martin had a show. He wasn't on SNL. This is a little known factoid because he hosted so many times. Many people think Steve Martin was a cast member of SNL. He never was.
Really?
No.
The Wild and Crazy Guys wasn't.
No, it was just him hosting. But he had like those Sonny Cher type specials where he would do little skits and stuff. And he specifically asked for Pee Wee Herman to be on one because he had seen his show and thought he was hilarious. And then he also auditioned for SNL, which he did not end up getting because he went in the same time Gilbert Gottfried went in. And I guess they were the same kind of comedians. And he was like, I'm not going to get that. And Gilbert Gottfried was really good friends with.
Well, apparently during the audition, somebody walked up to him and said, "Hey, just want to let you know that guy," pointing at Gilbert Gottfried. He said, "That's the producer's best friend."
Yeah, and you guys are the same.
Or
kind
he's
of
really
comedian.
good friends with the producer. So
when he didn't get on SNL, he kind of started to spiral, thinking that nobody was gonna, he went through these things like these manic depressive type things. Like the manics were really high, and then the moment something didn't go right, he would go into a depression. Everything's over. So he decided instead of all these different characters, he was going to take one character and focus on making that character famous. And that was Pee Wee Herman.
And one thing about him is when he was young and going to school and all that stuff, he was really into performance art.
Yeah.
So he decided,
like Andy Warhol type crazy shit.
And so what he decided to do was, as a performance arts piece, he walked around town as Pee Wee Herman. He was like, I'm gonna make this persona the what becomes famous.
Yeah.
And not me. So my life can be private, and Pee Wee Herman will be the famous person.
Yes.
So interviews,
which sounds great. But you'll find out later, it's a double-edged sword.
Yeah. So, so he would do interviews and he would refuse to do them as Paul Rubens. He would do them as Paul Rubens. He was doing them as Pee Wee Herman and that sort of thing. And so he, in his like, oh, this sucks, I didn't get SNL, what he decided to do was launch into Pee Wee Herman. So he created a show. He wanted to create a live show that he was going to call this pilot, like a live pilot, and they were doing it at the Groundling Theater, and they like people who liked his character were like, we don't really think a whole show is going to do it, but we'll give you a midnight time slot to do this. And it was Pee-wee's Playhouse pretty much, but it was an adult version of it.
Yeah, it was a late night show taken off from like a 1950s, 1960s kids show. And they had a weird, like, kooky set, sort of like they had with Howdy Doody. They had puppets, and they had basically just all of his friends came and did characters. Like John Peregrine was Jambi, the head of the genie. Phil Hartman was Captain Carl. Lynn Stewart was Miss Yvonne. So all the characters from the TV show started off as just friends from the Groundlings who decided to do this show with them.
Yeah. And it was a huge hit.
Huge hit.
People loved it.
So big they had to move to a bigger theater.
Yeah, they eventually had to move to what was it called? It was something.
The theater that is not the one that he started in.
It was really big. I mean, like, famous people were lining up to come and see it.
Celebrities.
Milton Berle loved the show. And that's where it really took off. And that's when Steve Martin's manager...
Well, first, what happened, HBO approached him. Now, HBO back in the day, as Paul Rubens likes to say, was not called HBO. It was called Home Box Office.
I can just
what
hear it.
HBO stands for. Yeah. I hate to break it to him, and I know he's dead, so he won't hear this. And my father was one of those people who, like, the moment HBO was a thing, like in the early 80s, we had HBO. Even though it was Home Box Office, they still called it HBO. I'm just saying, they did. It was HBO from the beginning.
Well, they had an H and a B and an O that would fly in, and they had all the lights
it
going
wasn't
around
like
the O.
Home Box Office. It was HBO. Anyway, they wanted to film it. So they came out and filmed it. It was a huge hit on Home Box Office, and it took off, and the rest is history.
The end.
And next time, sorry, I know where you would think that, this would be an excellent point to maybe stop the documentary. No.
Or it would be an excellent point to create another documentary.
Yeah. This is at like the 50-minute mark in the first episode. There's still like 2.5 hours of documentary left.
Yeah, it was really long.
So he walked in the theater one night. I wrote this note. Oh, this is where he has his first panic attack. So he goes in, he sees the marquee, and it says Pee-wee's Playhouse starring Paul Rubens. And he goes across, he's looking at the marquee, and he's all proud of himself because the show's a huge hit. And he just starts to have his full-on first ever panic attack. And he realizes that he's seeing his name and Pee-wee's name, and that he is going to basically... he's got like these two personas, and that's when he decides that Paul Rubens is going to be away. Like, he is a private person. Everything will be Pee Wee Herman now. And that apparently helped his anxiety until he realized many years into his career, nobody knows who Paul Rubens is. And then he has another panic attack.
Yeah. So the show was a hit. So Steve Martin's manager came in and said, hey, we want to work with you. You need to go on tour. And when you're on tour, you're going to build a huge audience base. And so while he was doing that, I think one of his final performances, executives from Warner Brothers saw it and said, hey, we're going to give you a movie. So him and Phil Hartman and some other guy whose name escapes me were like locked into a room, and then
write the movie.
And they
I do want to say this because I wrote
Pee-wee's
this down.
Big Adventure.
During his tour, Martin Landau came to see one of his shows and told the manager, he goes, I have never seen anyone hold the attention of an audience like that. It reminded me of videos of Adolf Hitler, which I don't know if I think it's supposed to be a compliment. But I was like, that's not the compliment you want. He goes, the videos you see of like the Nazis just hanging on every word. He goes, I've never seen anything like that until now, where they were just hanging on everything Pee Wee Herman said. And I was like, that's not the compliment you think it is, Martin. But yeah, the Warner Brothers folks came, they saw it. They were like, we want to make a movie with you. They had recommended a director, and he says, no, that director's not going to work. I want to be able to pick the director. And they said, you have, I think they said 1 week to find a director. If you can't find one, then we're going to pick one. So he called up his friend, Shelley Duvall, who there's another name drop. I didn't know him and Shelley Duvall were friends, and said, hey, I am looking for a director. And she's the one, because she apparently was in Tim Burton's short film Frankenweenie, said, you need to look at this guy, Tim Burton. And they watched the short film, and he said, this guy is right up my alley. And he said, I want to do this film with Tim Burton. And they did.
Yes.
And the rest is history. Nope, there's still 2 hours left.
So, and then he says, like, he watches this movie and everybody loved it and it was great. And then it gets to the end of the credits and it says written by Paul Rubens. And
nobody knows who Paul Rubens is.
And then he got mad.
Yeah.
How you gonna be mad? You're the
Tim
reason nobody knows who
Burton is out there selling the movie, and he's out there saying, oh, this is my movie. And he's like, no, this is my movie. I wrote this movie. This is my character. But nobody knows that because everybody knows Pee Wee Herman. So they don't know Paul Rubens.
So why wouldn't they, if the thing was to make Pee Wee Herman the star, why wouldn't they have just said it was written by Pee Wee Herman? Then everybody would know who it was.
Exactly.
Anyway.
So the studio, even after they pushed this movie through, they threw the money at him. After the movie was made, they had no faith in the film. So they were like, you know what? We're going to open it in 3 theaters and see how it does. So they says, we'll give you minimal money for press. And what he did is he went to MTV and said, hey, MTV was, kind of the shit at this time. This was their heyday. And said, why don't you air the Hollywood premiere of my movie? So they did a big thing of it. And stars came. I think I saw Christian Slater there, and Eddie Murphy was there. So they brought all these big stars, and they had a huge Hollywood premiere. The movie ended up opening at number 3 at the box office. Do you know 2 movies it was behind?
In 88?
In 85, I think is when the movie came out. The show started in 86. The movie came out in 85.
Back to the Future.
Yeah.
And I only know that because I know Back to the Future came out in 1985.
Yeah. Also, I went back and looked at this. Back to the Future was like number 1 for like half the year.
Yeah.
But then this was also a time when movies didn't, there wasn't a whole lot of theaters. So it was like number 1 for like 22 weeks. But every week it was making like 9 million, 10 million kind of thing. But it was in its 6th week. It was number 1. Summer Rental opened at number 2. I have no idea what that movie is. And then Pee-wee's Big Adventure opened at number 3. It was a huge hit. I think they made the movie for $1 million and it made $45 million. So big hit for the studio. Yep. And Pee Wee Herman at this point became a huge cultural phenomenon. And then we go into part 2 of the movie. That's how the first movie ends.
And I wasn't very interested in watching the second part because, to be honest, he came across as kind of arrogant.
He is very narcissistic and very arrogant.
And I wasn't interested. And there were these really awkward moments where he would fuck with the director, and he was like, thought he was being funny, but it didn't come across as funny at all. He was like, maybe I think I am the only one who can direct this. Maybe I don't, but maybe I do.
Because
maybe
in the beginning of the film,
it's so weird.
He said that he initially wanted to direct his own documentary, and people said that you're not removed enough from it to be able to direct your own documentary. So they said you had to get another documentary.
And so, but he just basically the whole time in both documentaries, he spends all of his time telling the director to his face, I could do this better.
Yeah.
Hey, why don't you? And then it's just like, that's not even interesting.
Now, they don't mention it, but they do say when they're having their back and forth, Pee Wee Herman says, I've seen your past documentaries and you made one good one, and that's why I hired you. So I went back and looked, and I don't know because none of these really jump out at me. So I don't know what documentaries they are, but Wild Combination, Teenage, Recorder, Spaceship Earth, and The Stroll. Now, he didn't direct The Stroll. He just produced it. So I'm going to say it's not that one. I bet he saw Spaceship Earth just because that sounds like an interesting documentary. But he didn't mention, but he saw one. He said, you made one good documentary, and that's why I'm letting you do this.
Isn't that rude?
It's very rude.
Yeah,
he also did short films.
Even the second episode started off with something. I can't remember what it was, but he thought he was making a joke, and he's he looks like smarmy looking. I just didn't. It didn't make him look like a person I'd want to know or hang out with. Now, having said that, then they get into the parts where I think that the world shit on Pee Wee Herman and unwarranted, and made me then defend him in all of this.
Not that there weren't good parts in the first one, but the second half of the documentary is much better than the first part. The second movie is better than the first movie.
Yeah, because they get into the
they get into all the shit. So the movie starts off with CBS approaches him about doing a child program based off his Pee Wee Herman character. I always thought the show came first and the movie was like, oh, Pee Wee Herman's a big hit. Let's make a movie. No, movie came first. Some people who appeared on the show, Natasha Lyonne.
I was very
on the
surprised.
show as a kid.
Yeah, she's a little girl. She's a little girl.
Little girl on there. Lawrence Fishburne was Cowboy Clay. Cowboy Clay, I think is his name. Was Clayburn.
Oh, I did write down Miss Yvonne looks like a coke addict.
Yeah, she
definitely-
looked crazy.
Reba the mail lady. She's the lady that runs the hospital in Chicago Med.
Yes. I know that. I don't watch Chicago
And
Med, but I
Jimmy
know
Smits was on it.
Jimmy Smits was on it. Yeah, there was a lot of famous
He was
people.
Johnny the Handyman. God, I love Jimmy Smits.
But he wanted this to be kind of an amalgamation of different art forms. So there were puppets, there was claymation, there was animation. It was just kooky, crazy. I used to watch Pee Wee Herman as a kid. I loved it. Not as much as my older brother was obsessed when he dressed as Pee Wee Herman one year for Christmas or for Halloween.
For Christmas. That'd be funny.
And Christmas.
I'm a Pee Wee Herman now.
There's a photo of us, of the 4 kids, and my brother Charlie's dressed as Pee Wee Herman. He's like maybe 9 years old, 9 or 10. My sister is dressed as Cinderella. No, you know what? Joey's dressed as Pee Wee Herman.
Classic
And
Joey.
My older brother has some sort of monster mask on it. And then I, at 9 years old, am dressed as Freddy Krueger. And I'm like, I look back now and I was like, Ma, 9 years old, you were letting me dress as Freddy Krueger? And I was watching the movies and stuff. And she says, you were fine.
You were killing it with that
Yeah,
costume.
but I had the glove and I looked really
It was to
good.
die for.
It was awesome. So one thing that he wanted to do with the show is he wanted it to be as inclusive and diverse as possible. So he didn't hide the gay subtext of it, and he hired Hispanic,
Oh my
and he
God,
hired black performers, and he hired a lot of different
The
performers.
handyman?
Yeah.
Jesus. I've seen that porn video.
The sexual innuendos and some of the jokes, I was like, I don't remember. Obviously, they went over my head as a kid, but how they got away with some of the
It was the
innuendos.
80s.
But it was the 80s. But it was a huge hit with fans and critics. He got a star. Well, there was a star on the Walk of Fame, but it's not Paul Ruben's name on it. It's Pee Wee Herman. And this is where we start to see his resentment almost for Pee Wee Herman start to come out. He had a huge falling out with his manager, had many hidden relations, because even though he's living in the closet, Pee Wee Herman's still getting him some.
Doesn't that Christmas special look awesome?
I've seen the Christmas
I haven't
special.
seen
I
it.
love it.
I was never a real big fan of Pee Wee Herman, but I saw that Christmas special and I was like, I want to.
Yeah, the Christmas special is stacked when it comes to celebrities. Cher, Oprah is there. Dolly Parton. I mean, they're just stacked. Now, the Christmas special was preceded by his second movie, Big Top Pee Wee, which he was like, you know what? I got screwed over in the first movie, so my name's going to be all over this. And he made sure people knew who Paul Rubens was and that I wrote this and that this was all me. And the movie bombed. And he had another depression.
I got to tell you, though, as much as this probably wasn't my kind of movie to watch, they played that really long kissing scene.
Oh, my God, it was hilarious. I loved it.
I got to tell you,
the fact the studio made him cut some of it.
Paul Rubens, I just want you to know you were right.
Yeah, that's the kind of crazy shit I love.
It was uncomfortable and hilarious.
But Chris Christopherson's in that. And I love that movie. And all I remember as a kid watching it, he had this fascination with running his fingers through from girls' hair. And there's this one scene where his girlfriend makes a picnic and they're eating the egg salad sandwiches and the egg salad's dripping everywhere. And he's just looking and his hand's twitching because he just wants to put it through her hair. Hilarious. The movie is hilarious. If you haven't seen it, watch it. It's kooky. It's crazy. It's fantastic. But in order to get over the depression of how bad this movie did,
he wrote the Christmas special.
He worked on the Christmas special, which was a huge hit.
And
he's back.
And he's on top.
And they order 2 final seasons of Pee Wee Playhouse. He films it. He films them back to back. He's exhausted. He's like, you know what? I need to take a visit to Sarasota, Florida to see my parents.
And while I'm there...
Damn it, you should have stayed in L.A.
And while I'm there...
he decided... I'm going to go to the theater and watch a movie.
Everybody likes to bring in a nice theater show.
Who doesn't like a cinematic event?
Yeah.
Well, he went to one of those special theaters where you watch movies with naked people.
And they're of course, talk about your bad luck. So he goes to this porn house and to watch this adult movie, and there's a big
As some
sting.
do.
And there's a big sting operation.
Yeah.
And
In
so
fact-
they arrest everybody in there.
I wrote this down because in one of the little news clips, here is what the detective said why they arrested him.
I wrote it down too.
We
It's fine.
observed him manipulating his genitalia. No, you didn't. I don't know how you masturbate, but you don't manipulate
I
your
know.
genitalia.
You're like, you can manipulate people to do what you want to do.
Yeah.
What do you don't do that
You
to your...
manipulate people to do things to your genitalia.
yeah.
But then everybody, this whole stupid thing blows up.
I mean, leave the man alone.
And it's sort of like we were talking about this earlier. The whole like when when Kathy Griffin did the head thing with Trump's head, and like Anderson Cooper and people are coming out like, I'm very disappointed in her. No, you're not. Stop being such a fucking prude.
You know, it's difficult, I think, to look long term
Yeah.
at things, but especially in situations like this, there is nothing wrong with going to an adult theater as an adult and watching legal porn. It is not a problem.
There
and
was no internet. Where
Yeah.
was he supposed to go?
right, and you'll find out later.
VHSs were expensive back then.
And you'll find out later you weren't even allowed to harbor photos.
No.
So he it's just so you have an opportunity in situations like that to think long term and stand out against like this sort of like repressive tyranny, and no one did.
No.
They all turned.
They showed clips. Phil Hartman.
Well, I mean,
being-
maybe some people did.
Some
Like,
people did, but like they showed these clips, like Phil Hartman doing an interview, and he's like, "Well, obviously, what he did was inappropriate."
Yeah, he called it. He said it was deviant
Yeah,
behavior.
deviant behavior.
Deviant behavior. You're gonna tell me Phil Hartman never looked at porn? Come on. Like, oh, it makes me angry.
Yeah.
Makes me angry. Now,
So
Phil Hartman
stupid.
also had a bone to pick with
Yes,
him
apparently
because
he helped create Pee Wee Herman, the
Well, he wrote-
character.
yeah, and he wrote-
didn't get the credit he
yeah,
felt
and
deserved.
he wrote the Pee-wee's Big Adventure with him
Yeah.
and all that. And so he was upset about all that. But then they cut to, and I'm learning this about Sam Kinison, who I used to watch things and think it was funny. He does not hold up well.
No.
And I was just like, I just wrote, Sam Kinison, you're an asshole.
Yeah, him, same thing. He's like, what did
Oh,
he
maybe
say?
he said it was deviant behavior, and
I think
I
well,
think
he mentioned because Pee Wee
Oh, he said
Herman
it was-
is on a kids program and he should have better morals than that. Dude, have you watched your own? Well, not now because you're dead.
Right.
But before you died, did you watch your own stand-up? You don't have any fucking morals.
yeah, he was just like, and like, just I don't know, just go-
Also, you're not funny. Screaming into the microphone isn't funny.
wrote-
it just hurts my ears.
I wrote, I've hated this man this whole show, and now I want to defend him.
I know, right?
And I was like, and then that made me think, like, and then CBS stopped playing Pee-wee's Playhouse.
Yeah.
And I was like, has CBS been spineless for decades now?
Absolutely.
Because they keep cutting.
From the beginning.
Yeah, like, come on, guys.
So I do remember this. Pee Wee Herman, after all of this, he went into hiding for a little bit while, all this was going on. And then he appeared at the MTV Movie Awards. And he came out dressed as Pee Wee. And everybody, all the MTV crowd cheered for him. And he goes, heard any good jokes lately? And I cracked up.
You know what that made
Loved
me
it.
think of? That made me think of Ryan's interview with Kathy Griffin. Where he was trying.
Because he opened with that.
Because he was trying to be
Yeah,
funny.
you should have held that
and
joke
it-
for Paul Rubens.
And it didn't go over.
So this
So
is
anything
where
happened since we last interviewed
he
you?
kind of started to like resurge his career. He appeared in Buffy the Vampire Slayer, the movie, not the TV show.
Where he met David Arquette and they
where he
became
met
best
David
friends.
Arquette and became best friends. In fact, after, and we'll talk about it, the
Yeah.
next incident, he stayed at David Arquette and Courtney Cox's house when they were married during that. He was in, he did a cameo in Batman Returns. He played Penguin's father, which that was supposed to be Meredith Burgess, the guy who played Penguin in the Batman series. He was supposed to play his father, but he got sick and died. So Paul Rubens stepped in because he was still friends with Tim Burton. He was in Blow. He was in Mystery Men. So there was a time in the
I
early
didn't
2000s.
realize how many movies he was in
Yeah,
after that.
there was a resurgence in his
And-
career.
Yeah, and he did a lot of good things. So so he started to come back,
Yeah.
and he was feeling
And
really good about it
then,
all.
You get back up and they tear you back down.
And this is all absurd.
Yeah,
This is
so-
the other thing was absurd too. But Sarasota, Florida during that time, okay, I can see that they would have a sting operation and they would do something stupid like that.
Yeah.
This is absurd. This is LA. So in LA, they raid his house, which
Yes,
by the way,
they rated out. I don't know if you recall Jeffrey Jones, who was in Beetlejuice and Ferris Bueller's Day Off. He was found to have child pornography. So somebody who knew him associated Jeffrey Jones with Pee Wee Herman because they had gone to a party at Paul Rubens' house.
Right.
So he was like, "Oh, Paul Rubens knows this guy." So they're like,
and he had seen his collection of magazines that
he had vintage gay porn.
Yeah.
So he told the cops, "You need to check out Paul Rubens." So they raided his house, took his entire vintage pornography collection, found no child pornography.
Yeah, the district attorney was bringing no charges against him. And the day before the time limit
would have
expired, the city attorney
decided I'm going to make a
one misdemeanor charge of child pornography.
Of an obscenity charge.
No, child pornography is what they were charging him with. So then he decided to not fight it later on because he was taking care of his dying father and said that they pleaded to an obscenity charge, which is just basically saying that he had obscene materials on him, which is absurd. Like I always thought obscenity, like to get an obscenities charge against you, somebody has to say what you've said or what you've put out there is obscene, and that it wouldn't be something that because you had that in your possession in your house that it could be. Like we could get hit with an obscenities charge if we put a person on our cover that wasn't wearing a shirt and was a tits out kind of cover. Yeah. Then somebody could say that's obscene.
Yeah. Well, an obscenity charge refers to a criminal accusation that someone has created, distributed, or possessed material deemed obscene, meaning it is considered unprotected by free speech due to sexually explicit nature, lacking artistic, literary, or scientific value.
Sounds like subjective bullshit.
So he ends up going back into hiding. He goes and stays with David Arquette and Courtney Cox for a while, and his career kind of tampers out there. And then around 2014, 2015, he decides, I'm going to bring Pee Wee Herman back to the stage. And they get together and they do another show. And it's a huge hit, which, much like the first one, leads to a movie.
But it was a Broadway show.
Yeah, well, it started on kind of an off-Broadway, and then they brought it to Broadway for a special engagement. And then they were like, wow, people are really still into Pee Wee Herman. And then Netflix decided to give him Pee Wee's Big Holiday, which in 2016 is a movie that came out where he played Pee Wee Herman one last time. And it's hilarious. The critics loved it. It got great reviews. It's on Netflix. Check it out. It's pretty good.
Yeah, it's really good. And then somewhere in this process, then he stopped doing the interviews.
Yeah. It became, towards the end of the documentary, it started to become difficult for him. He started to get combative with the director.
Yeah.
And then he's called on the day before he was supposed to do his last interview and said, I'm not doing it. But he recorded some audio to send to him. It ended up being audio he recorded the day before he died.
Yeah.
And he sent it in, and that's kind of how it wraps up.
And I believe everything in that. I think that was his way of just trying to dictate, this is what I think this should be about. And it was really about him trying to say, this idea that I was a pedophile is absurd. I just, was just living my life.
I saw his recording as his last fuck you to the director of, I'll tell you what, here's a recording I directed. You put that at the end of your movie. And then he died on him. And I know that this director was like, you motherfucker.
Yeah, I mean, I get that. It's interesting to try to rate this because you got to say as a documentary, how many grapes are you going to give this?
Yeah.
As opposed to the subject matter, because the subject matter, I don't know how to describe it. I think I tried to describe it to you, and I'm not going to be so offensive to this type of performer to say this, but just to say it out loud to anybody that might be listening. But it's just sort of like this stereo. It was this almost caricature version of a. You used Norma Desmond. It was sort of like a gay Norma Desmond style.
Yeah.
Caricature of a person saying I was the most amazing thing and it got snatched away from me
and it was taken away from
me. And I'm
me.
the only one that can do this and I'm the only one that can tell the story, and it's I think that's bullshit.
Yeah. I will say overall I probably enjoyed this more than you did. It is far too long. I love Pee Wee Herman, but you do not need 3 hours to tell his story. A lot of this could have been cut back. And I feel like because it was done so quickly after he died, that this was almost a way to capitalize on, well, let's do 2 separate full-length documentaries. That way, we can kind of milk money out of this kind of thing. But I think
milk money.
milk money. But I thought it was good. I still, even though I do feel he was a very narcissistic, self-involved person, I still love Pee Wee Herman. I love the movies. I thought the show was great. And so based on that, I will give the documentary 2.5 grapes.
I'm going to give it 2 and say it just needed to be 1.
Yeah,
There's maybe
it definitely could have been cut down to
episode,
1.
yeah.
Even if you did like a 2.5-hour
And like,
movie, you
do
could
you
have
think
cut
that the
this down.
director leaving those uncomfortable, rude, jokey moments in there was like his way of saying "fuck you"?
Yeah, absolutely. I don't know if this was all a ruse between them. Like, oh, let's put it out there let's make it like it was a chaotic Norma Desmond type movie. Because he was all about the character. So maybe this was all just a character of them,
Yeah.
Andy Kaufman style pulling the roof.
Performance art.
Yeah, wool
I just
over
want to
our
say,
eyes.
I believe that last recording, and that's what he wanted that's what he wanted people to remember about him. And if he was just open and honest and trusting of the director from the beginning, this movie would have been made earlier. It would have been out, and he would have seen the audience react the way that he wanted, and he would have been able to enjoy that. But instead, he was narcissistic and arrogant and died before it was done, and does not then get to see that people are getting the message of what you wanted.
Maybe he doesn't need to see the ending. Do any of us need to see the ending?
I mean, it always makes me not laugh, but when somebody's died and somebody else says, "Oh, they would have liked this," or "They would have," I'm like, they probably would have liked to be alive.
Yeah.
As I say, I don't care what you do when I go. I don't tell Dylan, he'll inherit this paper. I don't care what you do. If I die tomorrow, I don't care what you do with the paper. I'm dead.
Yeah. Tell whatever stories you want.
Yeah.
Let people
have
know.
a funeral. Don't have a funeral. I don't know. I'll be dead.
Yeah, I don't care. You know what else I don't care about? What you do over the next 2 weeks, because I won't be here. So I will be away.
You want to Rotten Tomatoes this?
Oh, yeah. Sorry, we're getting ahead of
That's all right.
ourselves. I just saw the clock ticking down. I was like, oh, we want to keep this under 2 hours.
You just saw the clock ticking.
I want to say critics gave this a 92 and audiences gave it a 94. I feel like this is something critics and audiences like.
Critics gave it 100.
Oh, okay.
I'm surprised by that. I'm just surprised by that.
They're an audience score?
91.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I think there were 43 critic reviews.
Yeah.
And I didn't know how many audience reviews there was.
All right.
It had to be at least 2, right?
Yeah.
Or no, this one could have been gave it a 91. Yeah. Anyway, so yeah, like you said, you're off for the next couple of weeks.
Yep.
Next week, we believe that it's going to be Ryan and I are going to host. I have no idea what we're going to talk about, but I asked him to pick something.
Beautiful.
Then the week after that, it's going to be George Wallace,
The CEO of the Center Orlando.
of LGBT plus Center fame, and then after that, you'll be back.
I will be
we'll have
returning.
New York Jeremy.
We will have New York Jeremy. I will be doing it either from my new apartment or one of those fancy podcast rooms from the New York Public Library. We'll see what happens. But I will be back in a few weeks. Hold down the fort while I'm gone. Don't burn everything down.
And still listen, because I'll be here.
Yeah, keep listening.
And
Rick
I'm
will
the
be
funny
here.
one. Just kidding.
And until then, that cork is getting really locked into the bottle.